is your moment. This is your time. Embrace every milestone. No looking behind. What's your vantage point?
Hi everybody, we are talking about marriage today on Vantage Point. We're so glad you're with us, and my ladies are here with me.
Yay. And
we're talking about something that is so near and dear to my heart. I have been married for 35 years to the same great guy.
Yes. Some of that anointing.
And our anniversary was this year, and so it just makes me so grateful because we have had some high highs and we have had some lows. And when I think about it, when I think about how long we've been together, there's a lot of water under that bridge. There's a lot of change that has to happen. And it was so funny because when I got married, I didn't even really anticipate getting married. I was not one of these people who was, dreamed about it when I was a young kid. I didn't think about getting married. And then when I met Robert, we just started thinking, yeah, this needs to continue. So that's kind of how that happened.
That's so cool.
But I realized everybody doesn't have the same story. There's the good, the bad, and let's just call it the funny.
There's a lot of funny.
So I wanted to kind of open it up and just kind of get your perspectives on this. What's your vantage point in terms of just your marriages, the good part, the bad part?
Wow. Okay. I would say, I will start off with the bad. When I decided to marry Louis D. Pierce, I realized I struggled with this whole partnership thing. I was raised by a single, strong woman. My father was not in our lives growing up, so I know how it is to survive. I was taught, listen, there's no such thing as, not surviving.
Right.
We didn't have words like mental health and depression and all that. It was like, you gotta do what you have to do. When I decided to marry this man, I was still operating as a single woman. And it took me years. We've been married for 17 years. Going on 18, and there are times I have to remind myself, you're in a partnership.
Yeah.
You need to discuss some things with this man. Because sometimes he'll say things like, there are times I feel like if I were to just disappear, you'd be okay. And to be honest with you, I can't imagine my life without my husband. But I have difficulty showing that.
So he says.
Now, my husband is an over-communicator. I'm like, just say what you gotta say and move on.
Whoa, over-communicating. Like, we want men to communicate, but now we mad at them for over-communicating.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't like a whole lot of this.
Yeah.
There are
details.
He's
my husband
man.
he wants to talk and let's get to the root of this issue. Let's outline. Tell me how you feel. There are times, a lot of times I'm the complete opposite. I don't have time for all that. What's the problem? What's the solution? Let's move on.
Wow.
That's horrible. That is horrible. So that's definitely some things that I'm working on, and I have to remind myself, and I really have prayed about this. I've asked the Holy Spirit, hey, show me. Show me. And I realized the way I was raised, I don't know what a male figure was supposed to look like in the household. I don't. So it was more when he'll come to me with certain things, I was like, what? But it dawned on me, you have two imperfect people trying to create this perfect marriage, and we don't know what that looks like, but.
So when you said you came into it as a single person, you had Michael at that time.
That's right.
So how did that play into the whole, I was a single mom, and now I'm a not single mom?
So funny you said that, Lori. That, I would say that was a pain point at one point. What do I mean by that? I was a single parent when I met Louis, and he really embraced my son. But even that, I felt as though I felt a little bit of guilt because Michael's son, his father and I, of course, we were done and over with. He moved on, I moved on, but I felt like I had to protect Michael from what? I don't know. But it's that I realized it's that guilt within myself. Like, okay, now I'm a Pierce now. I'm no longer a Nichols. I have a son that's a completely different name, and there's that shame that comes with that. Not that I'm ashamed of my child, but I know what people are going to say, especially now that we're saved. Oh, my stars, that's a whole different gamut, right? But my husband took on that role as his father, not just father, but dad loved him, and I was so protective of that, to the point where it was a pain point in our marriage, where it was strained, and he would say, hey, I'm here. You're no longer a single mom. You don't need to operate that way. I'm your partner. And to relinquish that, it was just like, but
Did you talk about any of that before you got married?
no.
Because that's huge. Anything that you're raised in,
and
that's a big.
And I think in premarital counseling, some people talk about that because I know some people who come into marriage like that and they talk about it, but it's something about when the rubber meets the road. And then I think about, like, Michael has an incredible dad, and Lou, and so many women or men who, you know, the shoe could be on the other foot, can lose out on that awesomeness of a parent because of them wanting to control or having to protect. But, you know, when you marry that way, they're your babies. They are your babies. Now, for me, I didn't have, you know, I went in with a blank slate, right? So my husband and I didn't have children. And I read every book. I went to every Bible study, single Bible study. I watched videos. I talked to my married girlfriends. We had the tightest two women moments over and over for maybe 10 years. Then I got married. And I was like, that wasn't in the lesson. Where me on my notes? I missed it because I ain't signed up for this. You know, but it's real, right? It's different and it's hard. It's so hard. Like, we can learn till we're blue in the face. We know what we're supposed to do, but when it's time to apply it, it's a different thing. It's tough.
It's something to, like, I give you so much respect for just even taking that on, you know, allowing him to be that, because again, in your notepad, that wasn't in your notepad, right? So going back to these notes, you thought you had it all together, didn't you, homie?
I thought I did. And I'll be honest, it's hard. And some days are really, really hard, and some days are really, really good. I heard the other day someone say that every anniversary you're celebrating either tenacity or stick-to-itness or tolerance or romance. And sometimes it's not the same thing every day or every anniversary. So, like, some years, I mean, I'm almost 5 years in, and I am celebrating those 5 years because every day is a celebration. Praise Jesus. But it is just that. Some days it's like, let me get through this day without picking up a fork and stabbing something.
Because we would never do that.
No, we would not. And I love him. I love you, babe. You know, it's just, and let me say this. I got help. You get therapy. And that's important. And now I'm being serious, because I went into the prison and met with many women who struggled with stuff and did not get help. And grabbed the pen or the knife or the fork or the gun, and now they're incarcerated, right? So, I mean, that got a little violent. I mean, that's real. It's real. It's real, you know, and, you know, it's tough. Like, you don't want to lose your identity.
That's right.
But you take on a new one that's beautiful. And it's like a transition that's like, it's like, oh, this is a little painful.
And what both of you guys are saying, what I hear both is change, because you're changing. I was thinking about this in terms of parenthood, because I had a friend who was adopting. And the adoption was taking longer than she thought. And she, you know, was going into months and months and months. And I said, now, if you were having a baby in the natural, it would take you 9 months. And I said, God is giving you time for you to adjust. Because as a mother, you're going to be making a lot of sacrifices, and you don't even know about making sacrifices because you haven't been there yet.
That's right.
Similar to marriage, it's amazing to me. It's amazing that anyone stays married, in the sense, I love my husband too, but in the sense, think about it, you're taking two different people from two different backgrounds, and you're putting them together, and you're saying, okay, stay together. That's right. And this is forever. And this is my theory, because I had this theory for a long time, and I bounced it off of Robert, and he was like, yeah, I think you're right. My theory is this: two people meet each other, and they have all this stuff going in their life, they're working, they're doing whatever, you know, and they meet each other, and it's like, wow, I think you're great. Wow, I think you're great. I think you're the greatest. Well, those people back at work, they don't understand me. Oh, how can they not understand you? You're perfect. And so you just build each other up. You build each other up. You go back to your daily lives, you handle it, and then you come back together. It's like, oh, I love you. You're so wonderful. Because they don't spend every day, all day.
That's
I
right.
like your puppets.
You like
I like your puppets.
What happens when they get married?
That's good.
When they get married, now they're together all the time.
Blood of Jesus.
And it's ironic because they're the ones that you start complaining about. Then you go back to your friends and you're like, oh my God, she never does this. Oh my God, did she ever shut up? Oh my God. And when you see each other, it's like, yeah. So to me, one of the big lessons I learned is I have to mentally, in my heart, I have to do this on purpose and say, he's my best friend.
Yeah.
He
Even when you
is my
don't feel
best
like
friend.
it.
Even when I don't feel like
Yeah.
it. And sometimes, like my sister, she's my other best friend. And so I'll say to her, no, you're number two. He's my best friend. I have to make myself keep him there because he really is.
Yeah.
Right.
He really
And
is.
you know, I don't even like to share the term best friend. He is my best friend. My other friends are my blessed friend. They are blessed additions. So I call them my
I like
blesties.
that.
You're my
I
blestie,
like that.
and he's my best.
That's
Because
good.
it don't get better than best.
That's good.
You know, I think 19 years into this. Sorry, babe. I think I'm 19 years. Yeah, because it'll be 20 next year.
Wait.
19 years. This is true. I know. But I always
like a dude
say
with dates.
I'm 19 years in, and it's been great for 18. Because one of those years, I just thank the Lord that we made it on the other side of 2. Because it was almost not a 3. Because in the way I grew up, divorce is always an option.
Yeah.
Like, you don't like it, just chuck the
Just
deuces. You just get out of it. It's not a big deal. And I always say I call the wrong or the right sister, depending on how you look at it. If I had called my other sister, she'd have been like the color purple when they packed up. Oh, no. Come on, get your stuff. Let's go. We out. Peace. We didn't have no kids. We didn't have any property. We didn't have anything. But I called my other sister, who was a prayer warrior, and she said, no. We're going to fight this in the spirit. And I'm so glad.
Wow.
So glad I did. But divorce was totally, I didn't have an idea of marriage. Like, it was just the next thing you did. Or if you want to have legal sex, that's what you do.
Hello.
Like, I got tired of the Holy Spirit messing with me when I was trying to do my thing. You know what I mean? I figured, all right, let's go ahead.
Let me clean
make
this up.
joint legal. You know what I mean?
But then it's legal, and then now what? Where's the thrill? Like, I like the thrill. So, you know,
The thrill, sometimes
happens
where's
to
the
people.
tired? Sometimes I don't even feel like it. I'm like, oh, no, here you go again. You know? So the same thing that I was so eager about getting to be able to do, I'm like, for real, when you play that sleep, like, I can't tell you all my tricks.
Oh my
You know,
God.
next time I'm sleeping, like, she ain't really sleep.
Let me jump in for a second. Let me jump in. Because seriously, I get you. And I understand, and again, especially when you start having kids.
Yes.
And I was telling someone, she had a young child, and I was like, and everyone's like, oh, your baby's so cute. Oh, you have an anniversary coming up, all this. And I whispered to her, you're getting tired of him touching you, right? And the reason why I said that is because you get touched so much. If you have a young child,
Yes.
and if you're nursing, by the time you finish nursing, by the time you finish taking
never
care of that kid, by the
thought
time, and you go to bed at night,
Like, you want some milk too?
and there's some
Yeah,
milk
just
around
give
you.
me one. Who else wants some? Who else wants some milk?
Someone just get off my body.
Lord.
That's how you feel. But
Thank you for that.
it's real. It's real. It's real. But what I did realize, what I realized was what you can do. Here, this helped me. What you can do is you can say, I love sex. I love this. I really do. Holy Spirit, thank you. I love sex.
Yeah.
And once you flip that like a mental switch in your mind,
Yeah.
game on. Because then it's like you really get into it. You really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But being married, there are
It's like
some
letting
times
your
when it's
head
like,
catch up with your heart. Like
Right.
keep saying it,
Right.
keep saying it, and I'm gonna,
Head,
and
the
you know,
heart,
you
the vagina, all
start.
them got to get in alignment.
It'll get in
All of them.
alignment, but you know, sometimes you don't feel like it, and then you get into your groove, and you be like, yeah, you know, I'm glad we doing this. This is good. So,
glad we doing it.
you know, let's capitalize on this covenant right now in this moment.
But to be honest, one of the things that I was never taught, and of course, again, I was raised in a single home, but being the initiator, that was my husband's biggest feedback for me. Because we were taught, if your husband comes and want a little something, you do not say no. If you're dead tired, you just tired. You just do what you have to do. But my husband taught me, there are times I want to be touched. There are times I want to hear that you want to get it in. And I'm like, you want me to initiate? Like, I gotta be the aggressor? Like, I couldn't.
Some women think it's dirty.
It's not that I thought it was
Yeah.
dirty. It was for some reason, I couldn't connect.
That was just foreign to you.
Yeah, it's foreign to me. It was another, and I love sex. I mean, I enjoy it immensely.
We know.
Immensely, to the
We
point
know,
where I
Serge.
say it all the time. But the bottom line, okay.
What do you see in this cup, Serge?
Don't you put my girl out there. Don't you put my girl out there.
What you seeing in this cup?
You know what she gonna say.
Yeah, don't tell me. But the thing is, I realize that there are times he wants me to be the one to talk dirty to him and tell him what I want to do. And where for me, I was taught that let him be the one that approach you. And I'm still, believe it or not, I'm still learning that. And it goes to show you that the way you were raised really does impact you as an adult. It really does. I'm thinking, well, what does that look like?
But that's learning your husband, that's learning and your wife, and learning the rhythm and what they like and what they don't like, and like music and lights on, lights off. You know, you got it's a process, and there's listen, it could be a little sticky season there. Like you gotta take the time to learn it, and have those direct conversations about like that's not working. You know, we gotta try something different, and I don't think a lot of people do that, especially. Well, I shouldn't say I don't think a lot of people. Just hearing what you said, growing up, we just do. We just be available. Well, I want to enjoy this, sir.
But it's also being mindful of being roommates. Like I realized for a second we were just roommates. We were going through the business of life, going through the business of parenting, sharing a room, sharing a bed, but not sharing that intimacy as much because you get so stuck in getting everything done and doing everything, and you're so busy, that you have to really, really be intentional and say, like, some people, he should make time. Sometimes I have to literally say to my husband, like I said the other week, if you ask me on a date, I go.
Oh, that's
Beautiful.
But he took me on a date. It's not, and I went to counseling. Like, it was the best, because sometimes I felt like I just throw up. Like, sometimes when you just throw up, you just feel better.
Yes.
And I just needed to throw up all over that woman and let her hear everything that I need to say. And she was able to let me hear his perspective a little bit different. I don't know anybody in my family that I can say has gone to marriage counseling, And to hear other people that say marriage counseling is okay, I'm like, all right. And I was able to hear him different because I told my girlfriend, who is, I think she's just one of the wisest women I know, I said, he ought to know me. We've been together almost 22 years. He ought to know me. She said, he knows who you were.
That's right.
You change every day.
Wow, that's good.
So there's no way he knows who you are today because you're not the same person today that you were the other day. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true. Like, when you met me, I was a single woman. I didn't have any children. I didn't have all these other responsibilities. I need to introduce you to Lori today.
Yeah.
Like,
Child, I don't even know my own self. I don't even know, no, for real, he got to figure me out. I have to figure out my own self.
Yes.
I sometimes, I was this, not just a single woman, but I was thriving. I was ambitious. I was career focused. I was growing. I was, what'd you say?
You still are.
Thank you, Fran. She said I still am. But and even so that part of me is changing. I'm growing in the things of faith. I'm learning how to be a wife, and it's just I was independent. Like, I don't want to make dinner. I'm gonna have an egg. I'm gonna have a hard-boiled egg, and I'm gonna be happy with my little egg. All those little things change, and I'm almost 5 years in, and it's like it's still a transition. And some days it's like painful.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed that part of my life.
Right.
And I think. If we're honest, have you ever had a day or days or a season where you like, well, listen, that single status don't look so bad
I had a whole
today.
year.
I do that.
And I still had a shake.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
You send me back the way you got me. You know what I'm saying? You add these stretch marks, bro. No, you stuck. You with me.
Yeah, but so you have those thoughts and you take captivity of them, and you're intentional about divorce not being an option, and you're working it through. You used the word earlier about sacrifice, and I think even as I was growing up and listening to other women and studying and reading, and men too, we always talked about submission, right? Submission, but sacrifice is the word.
Yeah.
Like, what are we willing to give up about ourselves, our single selves?
Yeah.
For this marriage. So for me, it's like, okay, I have to sacrifice my thought on this right now.
Yeah.
Or share it, but husband, you're the head of the home. You made the decision. We're gonna move, go forth with your decision. So it's.
If there's one thing that I could tell early Alexa, if I could look back a few years and I could tell Alexa as she was going into this, a couple of things. One, just like you're saying, change. It's not going to stay the same. But even within that, you want to make sure that you stay friends. You want to make sure that you stay connected. Because there have been some times, Robert and I moved from the East Coast, from the West Coast. We were in Los Angeles County, and we moved to the East Coast. That's 3,000 miles of a move. We just had our third child, so that's a big marker. My mother had just died, and she's the only one in my immediate family who's ever died before. We both worked at the same place, which means we both lost our work friends and our other friends. Not only did we move away, they moved to that whole organization moved to another state. So even in our minds, it wasn't like we could go back there. There was no more there to go back to. Mm-hmm. We moved into a house into a city that I know no one, not one single person. And I go from being a powerful, high-energy job, meetings every day, lunch meetings, to being a stay-at-home mom of 3. Wow. That's a lot of change in 1 year. That's a lot of change in 1 year. And the thing that I realized is, oh my God. God.
Then they know
God. Yeah. It was God, and it was every day. Yeah. It was God, and it was every day. And God had things for me that I didn't even know that He had for me. You talked about changing. When I was home with the kids, and I poured myself into them the same way that I poured myself into work. So I'm like organizing and structuring, and I'm homeschooling this one, and sending this off to this school, and nursing this one, and I keep going. Even in that, and I had gained like 5,000 pounds.
Oh, please.
Just 5,000.
For my last child, I gained about 5. I couldn't fit through the door. So a friend of mine, I met a friend in my neighborhood, and we decided to go to the Y. Everybody here goes to the Y. Not only did I lose the weight,
You became an instructor.
I became a fitness instructor.
I love this story.
And so I didn't realize what God had for me. It was like, okay, you lost that position, but you have a position that works with your family, that works with your lifestyle. So there's hope. Even when you're at your worst, even when you're thinking, you wake up and you're like, I hate him. Mm-hmm. Then you're like, there is an enemy.
But can I tell you something?
But when I say enemy,
I love him too. I'm like, I hate you, but I love
there is
you.
an enemy. And you're thinking sometimes, I hate him.
man.
And then you're thinking, why would I say that?
Yeah.
You know, why would I say that's my friend? And you have to overcome that. You have to overcome those times that try to tear you apart. And you have to become and stay best friends.
Yeah. The reason I looked at you like that is because I heard my therapist in my head saying, he's not your enemy.
Yes.
So I don't feel like I know every time that he's saying something or he's making me feel, he is not my enemy. And so when I feel those feelings of, like, why are you here? Like, I know you got something else you can be doing. He is, your partner is not your enemy unless he's your enemy.
That's good and powerful. That's very. I heard somebody else say that too. We had a little marriage nugget that your husband or your spouse is not your enemy, and keeping in mind that there's a spirit behind that working through that moment. Sometimes you get a little weak, and you fall short, and then But I know sometimes I don't want to say rage, but it's there.
Yeah.
And it's so quick. Like it happens very quick for me. I do know. I know I love this man because I didn't respond. I didn't respond. So no matter how angry I may be, I know I love him.
Yeah.
Because I ain't lose it.
Yeah.
That's
You
good.
did, and
I ain't
he
lose
chose
it.
you for a reason.
Yeah.
It was something that was so authentic that he realized, I need her.
Let me say this too, and I feel like I have to say this. I do love that man. I don't want this
we
time
know
to
that.
end where, painting a bad picture because he's incredible.
10 times as you love, so we know.
Okay, let me do 11. I love him.
Let me say this though. The one thing I love about you and your husband and all of you is that when he's not around, you speak so well of him.
I love him.
You speak so well. No, seriously. Don't you guys have heard
I
her all the
do.
time?
I
She
do.
feels so well.
But this is
because
real.
I really believe he's a terrific human. And let me just say what I love about him. He's romantic. I jokingly tell him all the time, you know, when women ask their husband for feedback and they're not too honest, not my husband. He'll be like, I don't like that. I like this color. Why don't you try? Like, he keeps it real. So I feel like I really truly have a partner, and I hear his voice on many things. But
I know you love young people enough to be transparent and let them
Yes.
see the other side, because you know they'll look at you too and say, oh, you know, they're such a beautiful couple. But at some point we have to be those Titus 2 women who tell the
Yeah.
truth and say it gets hard sometimes. So thank you for your transparency.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you said. Like, you know, people say, oh, he's such a good looking man. He's a good man. Like, you know, that people get
that
stuck
first.
on that. He's a good looking, but he's good. He's smart. He's gentle. He's a great son. He's an incredible son.
He's very godly.
He's very godly.
Interesting.
Yes.
But one of the things that you said that really hit home for me is you're constantly evolving. When I think about what I would tell my younger self, or the single Serge Marie, is don't forget who you are. Because when I became Mrs. Pierce, I was trying to find my identity in that. You know, trying to fit in, trying to, you know, make sure that I'm liked, you know, within his family, that I, you know, stay in my, you know, zone, because there are times I could be a little mouthy and I'm very opinionated, yes. So there are times I don't have a filter. There's times I say exactly what someone might realize, oh, I shouldn't have said that. So I had to realize, I learned that it's okay to be who you are.
Yeah.
You know, but one of the things I wish, there times I'm like, God, I know I can't go back in time, but what I would tell my mentees and the single women, number one, enjoy being single. But before you decide to take on, you know, go into the marriage relationship, make sure you're whole first. Because you could push a thing and be broken. I was broken when I got married. So now I'm married this great guy, but there's so many different pieces.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you. And, you know, to conclude, I think I thought I was whole, and I think I was in a lot of ways, and still you have work to do.
That's right.
Still you have work to do.
It's work, but it's worth it.
Right. Well, this was fantastic. You know, I think to surmise it, like kind of with the puppets, the finger puppets, you know, there's things that you will love about your husband or your wife at the beginning, but that very thing that you love may be the thing that you're gonna have to work through later on down the road.
Yeah.
But this was good. This was insightful. I
Going,
love talking about this. And so, you know, we just want to hear from you. Like our Facebook page, comment, find us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel so we can hear your voice. Because this is our vantage point. What's yours?
What's your vantage point?